Alright, what's going on, everybody? It's Matt10. How's it going? So, PES 2019 full reveal trailer came out today, and that's what I have here for you guys today. We're just going to take a look at it, and there's some things I've watched it a couple times, not so much, but just before I thought about making this video, I just noticed some weird things, and I don't want to be negative or anything like that. You guys can always form your own opinion. You know me, that the devil's in the details, and so that's what I look for. Obviously, gameplay is the top priority for me, and of course, this trailer really didn't give too much details on gameplay, which is fine. Yeah, it's understandable. How can it? Why would it? Give gameplay details? Other than some of the things I'll read afterwards here, but it's still interesting nonetheless to see a full reveal, if that's the interpretation, or a reveal in general. But I think it was overall a good one. I just think as you kind of watch it here, and I'm going to put this on mute so that I don't have any content ID on the YouTube, but just going to play this through. I'm hitting the space bar a couple times, so you're going to hear that. I'm going to go into full screen mode here. Just going to go over some of the things I've been watching. I won't play this. I might go back and forth to kind of see if you guys catch what I'm looking at as well. So let's just start it through. Of course, we've got the cool new color scheme. I think it's a nice little branding here. I saw this is from the 100 million special or whatever it is. That's where they grabbed this image. Here's a pretty cool hard shot, rising shot. Apparently that's another player trait that we'll talk about. Really, low shot there. Hopefully that's not another player trait where it's a dipping shot. I'm pretty sure most professionals can strike that. And then of course the announcement with Mr. David Beckham. Pretty awesome that Asim got to meet him. I mean, if that's your idol, that's pretty awesome. I've watched Beck's as well, of course. It's a recreation of that goal he scored from half field against Wimbledon, and of course the one against Greece there. At least it looks like that's the one against Greece. Could be a different one, but either way, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. To see kind of everything in motion. Power football, that's the message. I think that's a great message. Power football is definitely important. We definitely, need that as a message to understand that. I think sometimes Konami may need to look into that message themselves as well. So, and I'll give you a little example here of kind of just the fundamentals that are kind of missing here, and some of the things I'm catching. So let's go to the part in which we start to see Coutinho here. It's right after the rising shot, and it's right about here. Well, not right here. We'll give this a second just to see if you guys can see the netting, of course, for those of you guys that are big on the nets. It definitely looks like it's improved. I'll say as well, though, that there are some glaring issues. If you kind of roll back here, for one, Coutinho's got a whole bunch of space, and you've got you got the outside back, the center back. They're just hanging on their line there, which is a little confusing. If he turned out of here, why they dropped so far back? There's always a concern there. Space was a big deal with PES 2018. But again, this is completely out of context, But they're going to show it, I'm going to analyze it, and I'm going to just kind of look at it. And from here, there's really nobody even within, I don't know, a couple of feet, a couple of yards from Coutinho. So he either made a really dashing run from left to inside, and, nobody's picking him up. So that concerns me with the reaction. As you can see, this is a very strange how you'll see in the next clip how the defensive line, of course it's blurred here, but where is the closest player? It's over here on the left hand side, and then you've got the middle completely open. So what happened here? Was it a breakaway? I'm just curious on what on what stands out here. And you see the outside back or somebody running with the forward for some reason, instead of trying to cut off the angle to block the shot. But it's a rising shot, powerful shot, probably unexpected, so we let it run through. And the next thing, of course, for you net guys, and I'm a net guy as well, is the animation here of the nets. Look, it bulges and it really kind of stretches it into like a spider web almost. Really strange looking, but again, that's just one view, and it's a really powerful shot. So maybe out of context, it probably gets better. I'll say the graphics on the trailer here in general are quite good, so I'm pretty happy with the lighting they've got here, and apparently there's dynamic lighting and everything there, so less saturation the better. You can see the brand colors are still in effect there, so nice to see that on the ad boards. But this is a bit concerning, and I think somebody pointed this out on Twitter as well, and so I noticed that as well, and I thought that was kind of interesting. But again, that's just nitpicky, but again, I mean, that's just how PES fans are. We're really nitpicky, right? I mean, that's just a given, and we're built that way because of PES, and so stop complaining about us being picky about things. Let's move on into it here. I'm gonna kind of like click this and pause it again. So here we see the same shot, looks like from even far away, or this might have been the guy who was blurred earlier. Maybe that was our center back, because this guy looks like the same animation. But again, really far back. I mean, if Coutinho is going to beat your number 6 or number 8 there, how are you not stepping forward to the ball, and then you're running onto the ball? But again, he's probably doesn't expect him to shoot from 30 plus yards out. The animation that comes forward here is he takes the shot, and the center back here doesn't even turn around to go see the shot. He's probably like, yep, that's probably a goal from Coutinho. No worries there. Don't even really need to look at it. And so I think eventually he might turn, and maybe it's just such a hard shot that he doesn't turn. I can't catch him, and see, it looks like he's still kind of looking. Again, these are blurred animations, so I'm not taking that much stock into it. I just thought it was interesting, right? That just some things to catch, and it's and the other guys are looking at the ball, or looking at the goal. It's bulging net, of course. By then, it's a very powerful shot. Another of the player traits, apparently. And then we see the kind of, the bulging net. I do like that this side is pretty firm, and the goalkeeper animation, he's not diving backwards, he's flailing at it. It doesn't look like a slow motion dive, but again, it's hard to catch if that's still the case, the Superman dives, etc. If he misses it that badly, that's probably better. I'd prefer the ball to be looser, more dynamic that way, versus a shot animation followed by a contextual keeper animation. Sometimes they should just be way off. That ball needs to be free. Hopefully that's the case in PES 2019. And then we look at the celebration. Cool celebration. Here's something I noticed with this. This is a nice little move, but look here. Where's Coutinho looking at? His eyes are forward, and he's about to kick the ball. So unless that's a player trait where you can kick the ball as hard as possible without looking at the ball, I mean, that's on another level. I mean, I would kick my own foot there. Maybe eventually, let me just see if I can catch it. We're just going to play and pause. Yeah, he does look at it, but most of the time when you're setting up to kick the ball, you're planting your foot, you're looking down at the ball right now. And it looks like as soon as he kicks it, he's now looking at the ball. I'm very skilled, I must say. And then it looks like that might have been the shot or something. I'm not sure. I think it's just the animation's contextual, and then they move it into the next clip, because it didn't look like he was near goal, but again, out of context. The shot, of course, here, this dipping shot, which is apparently another trait, and I'll give my little spiel about traits after this, but, the keeper not able to handle that. I mean, that's a difficult save. It bounces right down in front of you. Knuckling down like that, and the keeper definitely wasn't expecting that. I like how they pan down here a little bit lower to kind of see the animation kick in. I'm not sure how that, I guess that water bottle maybe eventually falls down. No, maybe it wasn't quite in the corner, but you can see a little bit of the ripple of the net. I mean, it looks like a loose net, so it should be okay. Unless it's supposed to be a firm net, then it probably shouldn't act that way. But again, that's just nitpicking. And we're just going to keep kind of pressing forward here. And here, great. Love to see the crowd. I think it was PES 5, PES 4 as well, that showed the crowd a lot. And some of the newer PES, like PES 2011, I want to say. I can't get my images of the crowds, but if you guys can help me out, make your comment below. But, there was that time in which you could see the crowd after goals scored, right? And that just kind of brings that whole atmosphere, that whole excitement and being engrossed into, into the match. And so seeing the crowd is always great. I hope that's actually in the game and not just like a cut scene for the sake of the trailer. If we move forward, I'm just going to keep moving here. Yeah, these crowds, they kind of look a little strange, but that's okay. They're all individual. I don't see any of the same people. Maybe this is the same guy with the hat on, but either way, I mean, that's a good sign. Also wearing the Barcelona, looks like jacket. That's pretty cool. And Barcelona kit there as well. And, so pretty cool to see that. And if he goes into the crowd there, that's a yellow card. So we'd like to see a yellow card there. Shirt off guy, pretty cool. And Barcelona scarf right there. Very cool. Hopefully that's something that they can add in for all teams. So, hopefully there's a programming in which, based on the team you use, the home fans are wearing, etc. If it's in the same context, saying, wearing a kit, wearing a jacket, shirtless man, scarf, etc. Hopefully that's contextual and is relevant to to the team you use. And that'd be kind of a cool, nice little thing, that can get you engrossed into your Master League. And then moving on from there, let's see. We're just gonna keep pressing through, and this is a glorious looking screenshot. Actually, this is probably in game. I hope. Well, I mean, no crowds, but still, in terms of just the lighting here, the picturesque field. I know they've got that whole technology where they're grabbing everything all together. I think that's really cool to me that they're doing that. Overall, I mean, like I said earlier, the less saturation, the better, because PES 2018 heavily saturated. With the new lighting, though, it was definitely better than 16, 17, but it definitely overdid it, But with PES 18, it looks like they've got a really nice technology that's going to bring in some good lighting. So we're going to move on from there. And we're just going to move on. Yeah, it looks like it's just displaying, it looks like sunset. So that's very cool. And then it going down, that shows that dynamic lighting. Dynamic weather would be kind of cool. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. And now we segue into Beck's. The ball, if we just kind of drop back a little bit, if I can get back there. Yep, the ball, guys, what do you think about that? I think that's a really nice looking ball. I'm trying to think what it reminds me of, like an Umbro Vortex type of ball, I really like the look of it. It keeps the same branding colors and everything, and that color scheme. It looks really nice. I like the ball, and maybe this is the 3D grass that we're hoping as well. Let's jump into that next clip here where he's kicking the ball, and then they recreate the Wimbledon goal, I assume, from his Man United days when he, from behind the halfway line and shot the ball over Sullivan's head. If anybody remembers the famous comment, and Beckham sees Sullivan off his line, or something like that, right? And the ball is quite high, and then it suddenly dips down. So I can see they try to recreate it. The physics of it aren't exactly the same. You can see it's very on a line drive, and it's basically headed. It eventually dips, but it's on a line drive. It's not as similar to the one against Wimbledon, but it's still very cool to see. I'm not sure if this is a trait or if this is something else. It's still pretty cool to see that. My question here is, again, positioning. I'm just not sure if this is it looks like it's from a free kick, especially as he's moving up to it. I think the ball is, it's hard to tell because they cut to it pretty quickly. They don't really show it, but you see here, you got one teammate there, 2, 3, 4. So, and the way the players are set up, I'm not sure it had to be a free kick because the players are in too retreating of a role. They're in a very low position, his fellow attackers there. So I have to assume it's a free kick, and Beck's just caught the goalkeeper off their line for some reason. You would think if it was a free kick that they'd probably be setting up for a free kick, but instead they're going for goal, probably looking for a short kick, and then he throws them off with the ball over the top. The keeper animation is a little strange to me. If the ball's over here, by now the keeper should be at least facing, but I think he's already starting his turn right here, and he's looking backwards, so I like that aspect of it. A little strange that the ball's on his left side and he's looking over his right shoulder. If the ball's over there, you'd most likely be looking over your left shoulder as a keeper to kind of get in position, and then now it kind of goes right over his left shoulder as it should. I think it's just a little strange that he's looking over his right shoulder instead. It's like the animation of a player getting the ball on over the top, like a striker going over the top, and trying to control the ball. It looks like they've copied that animation and applied it to the keeper. Preparing to kind of trap the ball, with their foot, and then going one-on-one with the keeper essentially. But this animation looks like it's kind of messed up the keeper. He's looking over his right shoulder instead of his left. Again, that's just nitpicking. Just some little things I've noticed that I thought was pretty interesting. We move on from there. We catch it here, and by now he's turning onto his left shoulder, and he's just way out of he's way out of it. And then I like the desperation. I thought that's kind of cool. Sorry about that. I clicked the wrong button, but I really do like that that animation of how he's just kind of flailing. What people notice as well on Twitter is the way the ball rebounds right off the net for a firm net. That's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hope more of that. Don't see any crazy, keep going forward here. Don't see any weird, texture issues or anything like that with the netting and the interaction with the ball. So, overall, I love the addition. If they're paying attention to the nets, I know Asim had tweeted that to somebody that they did for those net guys, like a lot of PES fans are net guys. It makes a big difference, the way the ball goes in the net. If they improve that lighting and they improve the way the ball enters the net, it's going to be so gratifying even more to score. And look at the older PES games. The most incredible thing was about scoring a goal and how the ball interacted. A feeling of like a solid ball, loose, going into the net. It's no other feeling than that, and nothing the recent PES couldn't capture. It's always been kind of off the mark with the ball blending into the background of the net or absorbed into the net. It just looked strange and not part of its own separate entity. So it looks like they've captured it here, at least with this trailer, so that's pretty cool. Again, back to the fans. That'd be a really cool cutscene if they went to that. I'd really like that if they could do something like that in game. But I don't know if that would be something. But that reminds me of just old school PES, PES trailers that we used to see, right? And then there is Mr. Beckham, old school there, exactly how he celebrated when he scored that goal against Wimbledon. And then, of course, he was just missing his teammates, draping over his shoulder. But what a fantastic goal that was in real life. And, in the trailer, it looks pretty awesome as well. As we kind of, and we see this one, I don't know if this is the Greece recreation because of his hair. I just remember he was bald in the Greece one. And I don't believe the keeper... I'm trying to think if the Greece one, the keeper moved or not. But in this one, he doesn't. He kind of doesn't know, or he probably knows already that it's going in as soon as Bex is, kicking it. So the animation of the celebration tells me it's the Greece one. So pretty cool to see that. Like the shoes as well. Like I really like the focus of the celebration. I would prefer it, and again, this is just being nitpicky, but I would prefer that the camera angle would be more high, head level or even shoulder level, but it's going lower and looking up. It's more cinematic than anything. But if you look at a lot of modern broadcasting, they're taking this kind of camera view from a shoulder level, so that way it looks like they're more on the same level. And that's going to capture a lot more to me versus making it look very cinematic, like looking up to him. But that's you see that a lot, but I think that's still pretty cool. And you see the players running in there. Just from a broadcast perspective, it doesn't look very clean to me. It just kind of looks forced. But either way, again, being nitpicky. That's kind of what I probably should title this, honestly. But this is the one I was talking about earlier where the lighting changes. And we see here, there you go. He just gets turned into, a PES player. You're now created in the game, Bex. So very cool. And we look at the tattoos, number 7, of course, iconic. Back to what we saw on the Coutinho one, right? Where he wasn't looking at the ball. The same thing with Beckham here. So here he's looking at the ball, looking at the ball, looking at the ball. And then what? And then now he's not really looking at the ball anymore. Right? So a little strange. Here he is. So they've reversed it, kind of. I mean, most of the time, I don't remember Beckham ever taking free kicks and, ever looking forward as he kicks the ball. He's always looking down. Here, it looks like he's looking at the ball. Kind of move forward. Still kind of looking, he's still looking at the ball here. And now they, get to the point where he's about to kick it. And his eyes seem to be looking at goal before he's kicked it. And again, right? I mean, am I crazy? It looks like he's not looking at the ball still. And then we look at it more. And then we're just going to go right to the back there. So here, honestly, does it look like he's looking at the ball? I don't know. I'm not an expert at eye level, but to me, I can see a little bit there. It looks like he's looking at the wall instead and not looking at the ball. So definitely a strange one with the eye level. Just a little nitpicky things I've noticed. And I thought that was pretty interesting. But still, overall, I'll let this play out. But overall, guys, a really cool trailer. Gets you hyped, as it should. It's exciting times. Again, it's PES 2019. The release date is awesome. I can't believe it's going to be for just the end of August. That's fantastic. That's a great time to do that. Got to be curious what FIFA's going to do from their side of things. So overall, very intrigued by everything here. And I'm just going to push this back so I can talk a little bit. And so, that's kind of the end of this video, guys. I'd really like to know what you thought. I know everybody's posting the trailers, the features, and everything like that. Of course, I'm being nitpicky and just looking at specific things that I thought were interesting. And I thought that was just kind of cool overall to see some of the little things. And maybe they're little things that aren't super positive. Maybe they're little things that are positive. But again, it's all out of context at this point. We don't know how this is being done. We don't know what stage this is on, etc. It's just more so about showing the features. You can't expect reveals to show things that were going to be fixed. That wasn't going to be the purpose of the reveal. It was going to show new features. And honestly, I'm at the point now where I'm not super optimistic anymore with PES. I'm just kind of hope that it's going to surprise me. I have very little confidence in PES these days, and that's just because we've been burnt, and I'm tired of it. Last year we put so much effort into it, me and the Footy U guys, and of course them just all on their own without me. They put so much blood, sweat, and tears into the game, into the hype for PES 2018, and then we were utterly let down. So it's really hard to look at this game with a lot of optimism. And that's just that's the honest truth. And I'm at the point now where it's just going to be nice just to talk about it, not to hype it up, not to, assume or not to, make judgments on, how I think the game's going to end up. I just accepting what it is, and then by the time that matters the most is when the final game comes out. We got a beta last year that everybody loved, and then the game changed as soon as the full game came out. So really, what's the point to get too worked up about some of these things? It's great conversation, it's great discussion. That's the whole point of all of this. But at the end of the day, we're going to be at the mercy of Konami, and what they think they need to adjust. Hopefully the feedback comes in for gameplay and Master League focused. We haven't seen anything on the offline player, of course, which is always unfortunate because I'm an offline player, but I'm apparently a very small bit of that target audience. So hopefully they'll keep the priorities about the physics of the ball, the physics of the player, the the positioning, and most importantly, if they're not going to focus on positioning, focus on the reactions of players. So that's my little spiel for this video. A little bit longer than I wanted to, a little more nitpicky than I intended to, but you guys know me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought. Let me know how you're feeling about PES. Make sure to leave your comments below. As always, take care and stay tuned.